What's up, everybody? I'm Frankie Biggz. Thank you for stopping by to my channel. If you haven't yet, please like, subscribe, and put that notification bell on so you know the next time we drop one of these videos. Okay, let's get into it. Today, we are checking out a very, very highly requested video. It's called BTS versus Radio by Boracity magazine. Now, I've made some comments in the past and some people have checked me on it, which had to do with payola and the fact that a lot of labels engage in it. They legalized it by changing the title of it by calling it radio consultants or radio consultation. So and I hate to say it because I get like ready to puke in my own mouth when I say it. It's a necessary evil. Shouldn't be, but it is. But apparently, and I've heard this before, that when it comes to hype and Big Hit and all these labels that deal with BTS and the other people, that they don't pay for payola. That they don't pay payola, that this is all fan driven. I'm going to stop right there and I will make my critiques after I watch this. Okay? So this has become an issue in my comments. If you haven't yet, go into my comments for my last video, the last 3-4 videos, and this has actually come up. So we're going to take a look at this. So let's get going. Here it is, BTS versus Radio by Boracity magazine. Let's go. 1, 2, 3.
In 2017, BTS realized that they were not only the biggest artists in South Korea, but they also had a chance to be recognized in the Western music industry. That year, they were nominated to their first big American award, the Billboard Music Awards. They attended the ceremony and got their first Top Social Artist Award. So what was next? The biggest artists in the United States have at least one of these 3 things under their belts: streams, sales, and radio play. These 3 things are the only criteria to get a #1 single in music charts, including the Billboard charts, the biggest one in the music industry. This is why BTS went to many radio stations, had a lot of interviews, and gifted their latest album You Never Walk Alone to radio DJs. ARMYs got the message. Radio is important. So we requested BTS songs on.
Did you just hear what she just said? That they visited. Now I just want you to take notes of this, okay? They went to these different radio stations. This is what she said. And they gifted the DJs and radio programmers their album. All right? So first things first, that is a form of payola. That's how it all started, was that these people, these radio promoters, or not radio promoters, label promoters, they're the lowest people on the totem pole. Those people, their job, it's usually a 2-man team. They sit in a big city and they service all of the stations that would play that type of music. Also, their job is to take music that the label has put out that has not done very well. And it's kind of like, oh, we're selling chocolate chip cookies, right? And this is our new chocolate chip cookies. But along with this chocolate chip cookie, you get these raisin cookies that didn't do too well, but we're not saying anything, but you get the added bonus of these raisin cookies. So the cookie analogy meaning this is a great artist who's doing well and an artist that has not been doing well. That's what they do, is they give gifts to the radio programmer. And that is a form of payola. Now, I'm not saying that BTS is engaging in payola, but if you're giving gifts to a radio station and you're giving gifts to the DJ and the DJ promoter, or the radio station programmer who's in charge of those DJs, who's in charge of getting the playlists that are coming from the consultants, right? I'm trying to put it together for you guys, that already giving them free gifts or anything like that is actually considered payola. Why do I say that? Why do I say that? Because back in the 80s, when this all started, that's what they would do. They would go to the DJs and they would give them lines of coke. They'd give them fucking prostitutes. They'd give them new cars, Ferraris, throw parties for them. I mean, anything to get these guys and put them on payrolls. On top of that, they'd give them a stipend every month and come up with bullshit titles and LLCs to protect these DJs and radio programmers The whole idea was we do this for you. We give you these gifts. You in turn play the song. And I'm going to tell you later why that makes money, playing that song. That has to do with publishing, and it has something to do with what my wife does, which is basically how can you say, what word am I missing right now?
Performance rights?
The performance rights. Because remember, when a DJ plays your music on commercial radio, that's considered a performance. All right, let's keep it going.
Yes.
Your army sent us flowers to thank us for having you on.
And that has never happened before with any other artist.
However, as time passed, the radio spins never came, and the albums BTS gifted to radio stations were found unopened in garage sales. So why were radios massively...
Why did that happen? Because those gifts are cool, but that doesn't mean just because they gave them a gift of your album or anything that they're going to play those records. What these guys want is they want to win money. They want hardcore cash. They want cars. They want women or men or whatever their vices is. They want for the label or the artist and or management to provide those services for them as an incentive to play their stuff. Let's keep it going.
Tweeting about BTS and inviting them to their shows if they never intended to play their songs, even when they became the most requested artists on radio. Believe it or not, many radio DJs dislike BTS because they cannot profit from their success like they can from other musical acts. The only thing they can do is increase their radio's social media engagement.
I want to see your techniques, okay, for taking a selfie. Can we put all these on our website and let people, if they can vote for who's got the best technique?
And radio is able to directly profit from playing certain songs because of an illegal practice called payola. Payola, also known as the illegal version of pay-for-play, happens when an artist's record label pays radio to play their songs over and over again without disclosing the fact that the radio spins were paid. This way, these radio spins can count towards music charts like the Billboard Hot 100. It is basically bribing radio stations to play a song. This practice is illegal and it was banned from radio stations. However, in 2020, Rolling Stones magazine exposed more than 2,500 text messages involving Steve Sapp, a radio promoter with a number of radio stations. The messages reveal conversations between Sapp and multiple major label executives, where they arranged multiple payola agreements. This led to an investigation targeting the Recording Industry Association of America, record labels, and streaming services, as well as a lawsuit that later revealed that Sapp received more than 130 payments totaling over $300,000. And this is only one case of one independent radio promoter, which involved only 3 radio stations in the adult contemporary format: the Bay Area's KREV, Palm Springs KRCK, and Las Vegas KFRH. Agreements with major labels are believed to be multi-million-dollar settlements, just like it was shown in a 2004 investigation. And I just want to clarify that the artists themselves allegedly did not have anything to do with these agreements. The text messages showed no evidence that any artists were communicating with Sapp, only their labels. So who does payola? Panic at the Disco's radio promoter sent an urgent text to Sapp when the group's...
Okay. The only thing I have to disagree is right before, if you notice, it says who does payola and in parentheses, not the artist. That's some bullshit too. All right? Let me tell you right now, these artists, when you get signed to a major label, like I have, okay? I'm telling you right now, it is very, very, very wide open. It is absolutely discussed that this is all about the radio promoters, okay? So as an artist, I knew that no matter how hard we worked on this record, no matter how well it was, the anxiety was, is the public going to buy it? Number one. Number two, are the radio promoters going to push it? And that's by money. You got to have money. You can know a radio promoter and he can listen to your shit and go, yeah, dude, that's awesome. He's telling the label, it's awesome, but it's going to cost you this much. It's just bullshit. It just is bullshit, because if you farted in a can and you put a fucking house beat to it, and you took it to a radio promoter and said, can you make this a number one hit? Hey man, some radio promoters will look you dead in your face and go, it's a hit. I can do it. It's going to cost you $3 million, but I can do it. It's sick, bro. It's sick, and it happens. It happens all the time. So this is a serious thing that happens in the industry all the time. I'm just telling you the way that it is. I'm 51 years old. I don't give a fuck anymore. I'm retired to begin with, so I can sit and do what I can do forever. It doesn't matter. I'm good. But for other people, young people who are coming up in the industry, this is what they face. I won't even go into what I've heard the producers here in Barcelona make some of these female artists do for free studio time. It's horrible. Let's keep it going.
Group's spins decreased, saying, I just did a 2,000 deal with you. I need Panic back up. SAP texted a station employee, any way to move 5 Seconds of Summer to Superpower till Saturday? I will get a great promo for you. Another text says, can we do Flora Cash and Khaled? Promise them 35 spins each. We'll cover that cash giveaway. When one station increased the number of plays of a single by LSD, the Columbia Records trio by Labyrinth, Sia, and Diplo, SAP wrote, I just got you a 1,000 promo through Columbia. Tell me what you need for stations. They will cover. Another text said, this week, kill Panic and Ed Sheeran and put Sean Superpower for number 1. Republic sweating me already. Another text said, can we pull down Jonas Brothers Sucker? Helping Pink go number 1. Apart from Panic at the Disco, 5 Seconds of Summer, Flora Cash, Khaled, Labyrinth, Sia, Diplo, Shawn Mendes, and Pink, other artists according to the text include Dua Lipa, the Jonas Brothers, the Backstreet Boys, Ellie Goulding, Dean Lewis, Maren Morris, Marshmello, Halsey, Ed Sheeran, and other artists associated with Warner Music, Sony Music, Universal Music, Columbia Records, and Republic Records. The messages also reveal that the problem does not only rely on record labels willingly paying for radio plays, but also radio stations extorting record labels. SAP wrote on a text message, I'm going to make Patty beg for increase, when talking about spins for a Louis Capaldi song. So how did he allegedly extort record labels? For example,
before we get into the extortion part of this, for those who have watched this and don't understand this, this is important. Why is there so much flip-flopping? Why would a person have a conversation with a gatekeeper that's able to place artists in different categories of the chart? Why? What they're not exposing to you, it's called publishing, right? And long story short, the deal is that these entities that had nothing to do with the creation or the sound recording of that particular song, other than the fact that they paid for it to be done, they now get a percentage. See, and now every time that song is played, money is generated in all of those examples. We'll explain those examples in another video. But what happens is that's why there's this game of whack-a-mole. We can do this to make way for this because these people have literal stake in the publishing of each of these songs, which is illegal, which is part of. So not only do they get paid big money to play these songs and for their jocks to pay the DJs to play these tunes, but they also have under the table, nobody knows that this guy has a piece of that Pink song, that this DJ has a piece of every song that he plays, and it's in different percentages, and those different percentages are going to dictate where in the charts that they put them. It's intricate, but if you know it, you understand it, and there's really nothing you can do, because at the end of the day, what is the record label willing to do to push that record all the way to recoup the money that they spent to make that record? That's the important thing. Let's get to it.
example, Green Day's lead singer Billie Joe Armstrong released a cover of I Think We're Alone Now, which gained organic popularity and started climbing radio charts in 2020, since it offered a small measure of comfort to a pandemic-stricken world. However, it seems like his record label was not interested in actively promoting the song, so Steve Sapp texted an employee at a radio station to reduce the song's spins as a way of forcing them to pay. He wrote, "I hate to do this, but Billie Joe needs to go down. They, the record label, said they aren't working on it and not paying bills. If we take down, let's see if they are all of a sudden working on it." But this tactic, or I would say extortion, didn't work out. Sapp then wrote, "Billie Joe down and they never paid a dime." So when BTS were first invited to US radio stations in 2017, they were happily welcomed and had some pretty nice interviews. But I really don't think it's a coincidence that after some time, the same radio DJs that were interviewing them and being nice to them changed their attitudes towards them. If we can learn anything from this Sapp lawsuit, is that during these days a Beulah agreement had to be made, but BTS and Big Hit refused, so radio stations turned their back on them, just like they did with Billie Joe Armstrong. Now, you may think that radios refuse to play BTS songs because they are in Korean, and that is definitely part of the problem. However, even with the massive promoted English singles, they don't get the same crazy amount of plays as other smaller English songs. And when they do get radio play, because of the massive success of the songs, radios only give them 1 or 2 spins during daytime, and some more spins between midnight and 6 a.m.
The
so
worst
they can
day
have the
parts
least
ever.
amount of listeners they can. This is part of their extortion, allegedly. Just compare Dynamite or Butter to the Shawn Mendes case shown in Sapp's text messages. Sapp wrote that Republic Records was paying for Shawn's single If I Can Have You to rise to #1. Sapp wrote, "This week, Kill Panic and Ed Sheeran and put Shawn's Superpower for #1. Republic's sweating me already." Then the station told Sapp that Shawn's single was set to play every half hour. But then Sapp fired off another text saying, "It is too close and we haven't jumped Ed yet. After 8 p.m., can we do every 15 minutes? No one will even notice. No one listens to the radio unless in a car." And apparently, playing the Shawn Mendes song every 15 minutes worked, because that week, Mendes leapfrogged Sheeran on the media base chart and hit #1. Sapp did say one right thing. No one listens to the radio unless in a car. And this is only when people don't have the chance to connect their streaming service to the car. Radio is dying. So why do music charts consider radio spins as important as sales and streams? The songs on radio are not the songs that the general public likes. They are the songs that the general public is forced to like. It is impossible for a song to be an organic radio hit when it's played every 15 minutes. The Billboard Hot 100 and the other music charts should stop treating radio numbers as a metric for a song's success. But of course, they won't stop. The music industry is an extremely corrupt system, and they don't care if BTS has more fans actually buying and streaming their music.
Okay, now if you go back to one of the videos that I had did on the rise of Bangtan, which is chapter 10, I said that, well, these days, #1 hits are hard to come by. No, or it may have been one of my reaction videos. Excuse me. I might be wrong. In fact, I think it may have been Jin's recent video of, what was the name of that?
Running Wild?
Huh?
Running Wild?
Running Wild. I said, #1 hits are hard to come by. Not that anybody made any comment to it, but I thought, man, somebody's going to say, what do you mean? There's #1 hits right now on the charts. That's not what I meant. I should have clarified that. It's exactly what they're saying. Yes, there's #1 hits, but more than likely, those #1 hits were forced to be #1 hits. They weren't #1 hits because the fans wanted it to be that way. They're just #1 hits because they're paying for, it's basically like, okay, when you're in your car and you listen to music, it's basically ads. It's no different than a McDonald's ad, and then you hear a song from Ed Sheeran, because they're right. Radio is dead. It's dying, and no one's really listening to the radio unless they're in their car. And that's only if they don't have already listening to their satellite radio or listening to their phone on Bluetooth. So they're just ads anymore. But you see how many people are making money off of that one spin. That's why it's so, it's such like, let's go. We got to do this. It's such chart playing, and it's gross, man. It's sick. It's stupid. Let's keep it going.
If they don't pay for radio, their number ones will be taken away. They don't care that BTS is the artist that sells the most records in the world. The music industry has brainwashed music fans into thinking that the general public's approval is better than a loyal fan base, because that is organic success. When it's been proven time and time again that the general public's opinion is forced into them by music labels, shameful campaigns, and strategies. And your favorite artist, no matter who it is or will be hurt by this. Because the general public only listens to what they're supposed to listen to, and then they move on and forget. Artists do care about views, likes, plays, and streams, because it means that people are listening to their music and watching them perform. Those who say their favorite artists don't care about views or charts are just deluding themselves. Artists want what BTS has, whether they admit it or not.
The BTS, they're massive. I want that social following. Me and Shawn Mendes are like, how do we get this type of fan base?
BTS and their label Big Hit always shared a message of honesty through music, and they refuse to give up these values for a number one, even though this is something that every artist wants, including BTS themselves.
What's kind of something else that you'd like to accomplish this year?
Billboard Hot 10.
When BTS were rejected by radio in 2017, ARMYs assumed that it was because their songs are in Korean and nothing else. And I don't personally know BTS, but maybe they thought this too. However, when they released Dynamite in 2020, something happened. BTS had a lot of interviews for radio stations again. They even had a bus where radio DJs could listen to Dynamite before the release date. They repeated this promotion for the release of Butter.
BTS is sending tour buses around the country to different radio stations with Butter on it. They're playing it, but we're getting a chance to hear it before anybody else.
ARMY's hopes were up because these are songs in English, and this type of promotion worked to a certain extent. Compared to their Korean songs, BTS were gaining significant radio play for the first time. But even in the best case scenario, the radio spins were not nearly as massive as other artists who had songs way less popular than Dynamite or Butter. Maybe it's because they didn't do what they were expected to do, which is pay their way to number one. And even before the release of their English singles, BTS expressed that they hate these chart manipulation tactics, and that even though they had multiple wrongful opportunities to jump to number one, they refused to do so.
부정적인 방법도 좋지만 조금 더 정직한 방법으로 좋은 음악을 만드는 게 어떨까요? 모두 다 좋은 음악을 하고 좋은 음악을 듣는 그런 시대가 왔으면 좋겠습니다.
It's a pretty common thing for BTS and other artists to invite radio DJs to their concerts and give them their albums so they can get to know them as artists, because radio DJs are supposed to be interested in music. Radio DJs were first supposed to share the songs they liked on their radio shows because they were supposed to be music lovers. They were even considered music experts, but they aren't. They do zero research before interviewing them. They ask them the same repetitive questions. And when ARMYs talk about their music, they cut them to ask who their favorite member is.
I like how they're really talented and they're very inspiring. Like all their songs, I love them.
But Sabrina, let's just cut to the important. Who do you have the biggest crush on?
They would rather tweet nonsense about BTS's looks, hair, or outfits to gain some likes. They even make fun of ARMYs, implying we are obsessive by doing things like this. Me running to stay at BTS Airbnb so I can smell B's pillow. Or this other guy called Psych, who is the most immature radio host in history. He tweeted, "We have BTS hair people," and showed a video of BTS's hair, according to him. ARMYs responded that it was weird for him to film that and that was so embarrassing for him. He then said that it was just a joke and that he was making fun of crazy fan bases. When ARMYs didn't buy it and decided to stay away from him and not watch the interview, he said that we were not true fans because true fans would watch anything and everything when it comes to their favorite group. He also responded non-stop to every ARMY he could and then said that everyone was just jealous of him. He tweeted, "Well, I spoke the truth. I met them. Some of you didn't. Is that not true? You don't think die-hard fans are jealous of people that meet BTS?" Another tweet said, It must kill you to know that you'll never meet BTS, and I've met them twice in less than a year. Also, be
What
careful
an
with
asshole.
talking about snapping necks.
Fuck
Violent
you,
threats
dog.
are not typically acceptable on social media, of course making himself the victim. When the interview was released, the guys didn't seem very comfortable with him, even when the interview was before any of this happened.
These fans, you guys know, they're pretty insane.
These radio DJs think this is what we want, when the only thing we're asking for is for them to learn a little about their music. But they don't even listen to their songs. Mario Lopez interviewed them without even knowing that they dance, and I'm pretty sure he didn't listen to a single BTS song before this interview.
What do you have planned for the concerts? Do you guys like to dance at your shows? Do you do a lot of dancing?
What the fuck?
So yes, dancing.
Yeah, we kind of dance.
We look forward to.
And despite being
What a
invited, radio
fucking
DJs
idiot, man.
don't go to their concerts because they simply don't care.
You guys ever been to a BTS show?
And it didn't matter how big they got. At this point, the fact that none of them have gone to their concerts, at least out of curiosity, shows their bitterness. They don't get any benefits from their success, so they don't want BTS to succeed. The radio DJ Big Ray, one of the only ones who openly supports BTS, revealed that radio DJs would talk bad about BTS on a private Facebook group. He tweeted, "There's a Facebook group for radio people, and today they were basically shading BTS pretty hard. Mind you, I've been a pretty active supporter of BTS for a while, but I never thought I would get that upset over a Facebook post." These radio DJs who talk bad about BTS in private are the same ones who have the audacity to tell armies, well, maybe you should be nice to DJs, ignoring all the thank you gifts and nice messages we send them. These guys from SiriusXM
God, I
even
could say
pretended
so much.
they were the ones who bought these cupcakes for BTS, when it was armies who bought them for them to play their music.
We have a little something to give to you guys in celebration.
We brought you cupcakes.
The cupcakes even have the logo of the fanbase who sent them, which is slightly different from the official ARMY logo. And even worse, a DJ called Dave from 103.3 AMP Radio from Boston said that armies were trying to poison him with the cupcakes they sent to the station as a thank you gift. He then said that it was just a joke because he always says that armies are annoying, and then he manifested that BTS will break up because he believes in manifestation. So don't say armies should try being nicer to radio DJs. We've been nice enough. Radios need to stop pretending that what gets played on the radio is ever dictated by a fandom's relationship with a radio DJ. They don't care about the most requested song or artist. They care about money. In conclusion, I don't think we should blame BTS or Big Hit, a Korean company, for not bribing radio DJs. They are not the problem. Radio is. This person tweeted, "Payola is illegal. Do you really want our guys or their company to do that? You do realize that they would take the money but then give another white or at least American artist more spins so they can't top the charts? The music industry is one of the most corrupt systems marred with systemic racism and xenophobia."
Yeah, see, we call that practice there in the United States, it's called white privilege. Or if you want to shorten it up, you can just say privilege. But that is alive and well, and not just in the music business. That is culture in the United States. It's horrible. It's sick. It's fucking despicable. It's racism, which leads into xenophobia, which leads into homophobia. It is just... it's just going to get worse from here. But you maintain, you get through it. Let's keep it going.
There is no winning this other than what we're doing for years, showing them that we will succeed anyways. In 2017, BTS and armies were so excited and full of hope, without realizing how dirty the Western music industry is.
디오라는 곳을 넘기가 굉장히 어려우니까 이제 팬분들이 DJ들한테 꽃다발도 보내고 여기 현지 에이전시사에서도 되게 노력 많이 하고 그런 일들.
We learned by experience, and it looks like now BTS lost respect for the industry they admire at some point.
The name is really huge for us. We've been listening to Billboard like since we were like 8.
They are literally the biggest artists in the world right now, but they have experienced disappointment after disappointment. They didn't even promote their new singles in America like they used to. Left and Right, Bad Decisions, Jack in the Box, and Yet to Come only have some calm interviews intended for only armies to watch. They have more personal content and projects. Basically the same as before, but without the awkward interviews with people from the media. This is why BTS can only rely on ARMYs, and that is a good thing. Other artists may be in the constant fear of being forgotten by the general public, unless they pay, of course. So don't let others make you believe that BTS's number ones were inorganic, because they are the only ones with an actual fan base actively purchasing their music and not paying for radio spins every 15 minutes. Brian Rowley wrote a very good article for Forbes titled BTS didn't cheat their way to number one on the Hot 100. They just beat other artists at their own game. So don't let others guilt you for buying BTS's music. Don't listen to what others say. Stream. Watch their music videos and performances on official YouTube channels. Buy their songs and albums. It doesn't matter if they are old or new. OG7 group projects with only some members, or solo projects. BTS will remain on top, whether the music industry likes it or not.
Very, very, very cool. Very cool. So here's what I have to say to that. First off is that I had already caught wind of this when I first started this journey, when we first started this journey, that they didn't pay for their stuff. And I'll be quite honest with you, we used to look at each other like, yeah, right, whatever. But then by the time I had said, like in my last video with, I believe it was Jin, I said, look guys, this is how they do it. And I kind of loosely gave an interpretation, like this over-the-counter pharmaceutical remedy to payola. And in a way, alluding to the fact that Big Hit has done this, all right? We're not talking about, I wasn't just talking about their artist. Right now, this seems, they don't do this with BTS. Do they do it with XG? Do they do it with...
XG is not a Big Hit artist.
Who's another Big Hit artist?
Big Hit? Tomorrow, TXT is Big Hit.
Okay.
But Hype, there's a lot of Hype, like New Jeans is Hype.
But they're still connected to Big Hit, aren't they?
Big Hit, I think, okay, correct me if I'm wrong, because I'm not
That's what I mean.
the end all be all. Big Hit only has BTS and TXT, correct?
Let us know. The point that I was making was, and I'm sorry, XG, I love XG. I'm sorry. I'm saying that any of the Hype labels, any of the labels that are in that incubator of Hype, right? I don't know if they practice that. I know that Big Hit doesn't do that with BTS. Also, they don't need to, because ARMY has done enough. The whole point, if you think about payola, the whole point of payola was to put somebody that didn't have a fandom base, in hopes that if they put them in number one, it would then kickstart a fandom for that to happen. But if it didn't, there were already insurances in place in way of publishing that would ensure that no matter what the effort was, they were going to get back the money and then some. That's why they charged upfront money, and that's why they attached themselves to the public performance royalties and everything else that they could attach themselves to. Okay? And who did they use? Crooked lawyers.
I'm a crooked lawyer?
I'm not, I didn't mean that. I didn't mean to say she's a crooked lawyer. I mean, they used lawyers. Lawyers who were crooked enough to say, well, because we're lawyers, we're kind of an entity that can put our hands in everything and there'll be no penalty. It's not illegal for us. So they used a lot of lawyers, still do. If you want to really, really find out if you got a project and you want to get signed by a major independent or major record label and you don't have any contacts like that, then you would go to a reputable entertainment lawyer who's probably, in our case, a lawyer that's representing Eminem, ICP, Kid Rock, the White Stripes, who else? I mean, any one of these big Detroit, Michigan artists. Miguel Tomas was one of the first people, a Latin artist from Detroit, got signed to Warner Brothers in 1989 when all that stuff was going on. And it was a lawyer, not only his producer out of Dearborn Heights, Eric Morgeson, but it wasn't just for the fact that Eric had relationships with different labels, because he had done so much work in the 70s with Bob Seger and, you know, all these big groups that were coming out of Michigan, George Clinton, all these cats, and he had the studio. If it hadn't been the fact that he had relationships with these previous labels like Motown and Walter Avanasi and who else, like all the big Motown people at that point that were putting out hits, my brother, Miguel Tomas, wouldn't have never gotten any of those deals, but still needed a strong entertainment lawyer who was representing, you know, entertainment in Michigan. And that goes from baseball, the Detroit Tigers, to the Red Wings, to, you know what I mean? Like, from sports to music. It was that guy. It was that lawyer firm that crossed the bridge that we needed for my brother to get his major record deal from Warner. So the point was that there are all these little levers that you can push, but if you don't know, then you don't do it. These people know. These people know. That's just a little nugget of information for y'all to know how these record deals get done. Now, I do believe this. I believe now the way that it's being explained, yeah, I definitely believe that when it comes to BTS, that these guys have not cheated their way to the top, which is commendable because look at the fandom. And is that not the point? If you're asking record executives like us, that would be it. This is what we were talking about this morning. Is the reason we love BTS so much is because they're an example of the perfect version of artist development from ding to dong, from A to Z. It is the way they developed them, the way that they did it, and did it without payola is how you're supposed to do it. And believe it or not, for those who were born in the millennium and not in the 1900s like my wife and I, that was the way you did it back then. That's why if you only sold 2 million records back in 1989, 1990, that was a commercial failure. But today, they celebrate it like it was like you were selling 100 million, which is what you celebrated back then. You sold 100 million. You went diamond. You know what I mean? Diamond how many times over? So the money was a lot. It was a lot. There was more money. There was more things to happen. The digital age came, wiped it all out. And it wiped it out on all fronts. They wiped it out on, before it was an experience to go to the music store, to grab a record, to open it up, to look at the lyrics and to look at everything and to smell the record. You know what I mean? Like it was an experience. We missed that. We don't have that anymore.
But BTS does.
But BTS does, and that's what's really cool. And that's what keeps them where they are, because they took the mold, and instead of changing like everybody else did in the United States and then making it the trend for the rest of the world, these guys said, nah, fuck that, man. We love putting out physical records, and we love the experience of going to buy a record, which is something that most of the young people are not going to ever really experience unless you're army and you do it with them. So then you understand, for us older people, us Gen Xers and boomers, that was life. You couldn't wait till Friday when it was the new release. You stood in line in the rain, in the cold to get your record. And when you walked into that record store and you saw that record that you've been wanting and you held it in your hands, it was success. It was a personal success for you to take it home, to open it up, to smell it, to look at it, to play the record. It was just an experience that we lost, and these guys kept it going. Now, before I get out of here, I'm going to tell you now, my wife and I have decided that we're going to put a few guides together. We're going to put a few things together that's dealing a little more with what we deal with. One, production, right? The other, the business behind the production and the business behind the labeling, which we both have. We're both experts at. And then the legalities behind the music business is what she's the expert at in publishing. We're going to put guides together. BTS is going to be our main subject. We'll definitely talk about some other groups, but be ready for that. That is coming. That's going to be new for 2025. And yeah, that's where we're at. And as far as catching a BTS concert, we'll do our best. And for our Korean fans that are out there, when my wife and I do come to Korea, and we're still talking about it when it's going to happen, I would love to put an event together with BTS or for BTS there, where I'm DJing and we just celebrate the group for what they are, not as just a whole, but also individual. So we're going to start planning that. Any of you who are into that, that are in the Korean market, that would like to start talking to us about that, that is something that we'd like to do. As you guys have figured out, and I have a few people that are close to BTS, and of course I'm going to reach out to those people. They're my friends and they work with them. Who knows? Let's see what we can come up with, but we definitely want to do something to celebrate these guys, okay? Are you with us? I hope that you are. Thank you for stopping by, and if you haven't yet, please like and subscribe and put that notification bell on as we barrel towards 7,000 subscribers. We're trying to make it to 10, but listen, we can only do that if you help us. Thank you so much for sticking around, and we'll see you in the next video. Peace.